Recordings. Hello, everyone, and welcome along to this live webinar. And today with a special guest, Steve Doran, property investor, trainer, mentor, great person with great insights. Hi, Steve. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic, Avram. Thank you for asking, and thank you for inviting me on this evening. It's a pleasure, as always, to come on and to learn myself. I always say to people, I consider myself to be a part-time teacher and a full-time student. So I'm looking forward to hearing about the technology. I know you're leading the charge on technology in property, and it makes our lives as property investors a lot easier when we've got tools that save the hours and that we would have spent trying to calculate things before. So it's an exciting time that we're in, and we need to do this to stay on top of it.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Steve, for the kind words. And yeah, I think the thing of being in this webinar together, property investors and also the tech side, because our vision in Landlord is to support landlords with technology, with digital tools, including digital finance. And since the beginning, we received lots of feedback from our users and from our partners, such as you, Steve. So I think it's great, and because of that, we are trying to do as many as we can webinars that involved experience with technology as well. So we are all win basically. So let me, by the way, one note: if you watch this webinar on our YouTube channel, feel free to subscribe to our channel. Steve will also share his social media channels where you can get great content there. And let's start with the agenda for today. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So do some kickoff about. It's very interesting for me to hear your view about what you see right now. In the property market, there are many things that perhaps uncertainty, but I really like to hear your take on that. We can also share a bit. We did a landlord sentiment survey recently, which is very interesting because it looks like landlords are still optimistic. So we can perhaps share some of those insights. Then, Steve, I'm happy to hear about, some tips about how you can source properties in 2025. And of course, we will also speak about how you can do it with Landlord. And I will also introduce some new features that we just released. Then we speak about what are the main key metrics that makes deal truly great. So basically, what would you look at? And we will follow, and perhaps we can combine those two points with the live analysis with the Landlord platform on an example that we can speak about the numbers. Steve, you can basically also share the way you think about deals. Then we introduce the landlord AI. So AI is here to stay, is here to evolve as we see it. I think it saves so much time. And in Landlord, we integrated AI tool, which is trained on the property market, trained on specifically on your needs, and is integrated to your account so you can get help from Landlord AI. It's like ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity all together. It's also connected to the web, so you can get also insights from the web, and I will show you how it works as well. And then we will have a Q&A session, and we also have exclusive bonus for you. Sarel will share the links on the chat for 50% of our premium plan. And also, we are promoting today, Steve, perhaps a few words about the event. Uh,
Mhm.
Sarel, if you can also share the link to the event. Uh,
Absolutely.
Perhaps
Yeah.
start perhaps with a brief introduction about yourself. I believe many of the people here knows you already, but know you already. But then perhaps we can also speak about the event.
Absolutely, yeah. First and foremost, welcome on everyone. And yeah, it's funny you say that. I'm seeing so many familiar names now, which is cool. Having been in the space for many years now, I'm seeing people that I've trained over the years, worked with over the years. Just out of curiosity, if I do a quick survey. I always like to do this because I'm quite curious to see. If you've done some sort of training or coaching with me in the past, just pop a one in the chat box. And if you never seen me before, it's the first time you're doing, probably maybe seen me before, but first time you're doing any training or webinar, just pop a two in. I'm just curious. Yeah, I can see loads of familiar names. Eddie twos. Okay, yeah, a few coming in. Avinash, great to spend time with you. Harry, Tony, Gordana. Okay, so we've got a nice mixture. So I'll give a bit of a background on me then for the people that have never seen me before. I started out my career as a firefighter. I grew up in a place called Lewisham. I was working two jobs and I was still very much broke. And so I decided to do what you guys are doing, get the education and go and learn about property and how people were creating this wealth that seemed quite elusive to me at the time. I picked up a few strategies that stood me in good stead. I started several years back now, and then I've just evolved over the years in what I'm doing. So right now, to give you a bit of background on what we do, I personally invest in commercial property. Just bought one last week. HMO property, service accommodation property, and I've still got some buy to lets kicking about from old. We've got a deal packaging business which is going incredibly well. We've got rent to rent business, service accommodation management, lettings agency, finance brokerage. So we've got lots of businesses across in and around the property space. One thing I'm very big on is I never talk about a strategy that I don't do. You know, I only talk about and train on things and coach things that I'm personally active within. And I've been coaching for many years. I'm an accredited master coach with the Association for Coaching. Delivered over 2,000 hours of one-to-one coaching. There's quite a few people here that I've had the pleasure of spending some of those hours with. And so one thing I love is property. Another thing that I love is helping other people to achieve similar to what I've managed to achieve, not just for me, but those around me. Because the reality is this stuff changes your life. You know, I know we're here to learn about AI and we're going to delve into that, but the reality is if you take this knowledge and you apply it, and I'm always big on pushing people to take action, but actually doing this stuff is life changing, not just for you, but the people around you, for your family, for other people that benefit, you know. And maybe another time we'll talk about some of the things that we do in terms of giving back. But I guess what I will say, as I say on every webinar that I ever do, is make sure you actually take this knowledge, you go and use it. The tech that you're going to hear about, that Avaram's going to show you, is not only good, but it's incredibly cost effective. In a world where you're buying investments and building multi-million-pound portfolios, to get something that's less than £100 that's going to allow you to make exponential returns is game changing. So thanks as well, Aviram, for creating the technology that makes our life as property investors much, much easier. You are, I'm afraid, on mute.
Oh, yeah, yeah, sorry. So I'm just wanted to say that the way I look at it is that you spoke about technology and how it can be, save costs and save time. And I think that now with AI, and especially if you can gather all the data, all the information, all the insights, so now it's easy to get the information. It's much easier than it was before. So I think instead of focusing on focus your time on getting all the data, arranging the data, like look at the number, like arranging the numbers before you look at them. Now you can get everything instantly. And I will show you also like how now like we implemented something that you can extract data from Rightmove instantly, for instance. So in one click, you can get all the information, all the numbers. You can of course tweak and change. What it does is basically allows you to have more time to look at more deals, for instance. So if you had like because you needed to gather all the data, it took you 2 hours. If it takes you now 5 minutes, then instead of 5 deals, you can actually look at 20 deals perhaps, and then there is more choice. There is more time to spend on making decisions rather than time spending on uh, gathering all the information and data you need. So I think this is what happening right now. Like people saves time, lots of times with AI, and I think that what will control, I think the market will be vertical AI tools. So you can use ChatGPT in general, but if you can use ChatGPT that is trained on something specific, then you can get more value out of it. And this is what we are trying to do with the Landlord AI tool. So it's not just ChatGPT, it's ChatGPT that is trained on the property market that is integrated into your landlord account. Yeah, so just like a follow-up on your words, Steve, perhaps two sentences about the event, and I will share the link how people can register. I think I just put it on the chat now.
I'm going to warn you, Aviram. I don't know if I've ever managed to condense anything into two sentences in my whole life, comma, but I'll give it my best attempt, comma. So let me tell you guys about the 2 day event. So just for those of you that are wanting to delve a bit deeper into property investment strategies, into how you raise finance for properties, or how you might set up a rent to rent or a deal packaging business, to show you exactly what we do and how we're making these strategies work in 2025. We do run a 2 day event. That's myself and my business and life partner, Helen. And on that 2 day event, we basically open up everything that we do and deliver training on how we find deals, analyze deals, monetize deals, whether you're going to keep it for yourself or offer it out to an investor and get paid for it. And most importantly, once you make that profit, we show you how to make sure you're tax efficient as well, how to save on stamp duty, how to save on corporation tax, how to pay yourself effectively, and much, much more. So if you wanted to come along to that 2 day event, I'd love the opportunity to spend 2 days with you. It's £99 in case you're worrying it's going to be thousands of pounds. It's £99 for the 2 day training. So I would love to see you on that 2 days. If we've got a link, Avaram's already shared it. So the link's in the chat box, and there's that link again. You can secure your ticket. The training's twice a month. It's virtual, it's online. We'll answer every question you got. I'll call you during the event. You'll have someone to support you during the event. And on that virtual training, will basically, no stone will be left unturned. Now, it we do weekday events, we do weekend events. All you have to do is grab your ticket. We'll provide you with the dates. You can select any of the next 24 dates that come up, and whichever one suits you. If you need to change it near the time, no problem, we'll change it. For the time being, if you just grab a ticket, and that will do. One thing I'm doing at the moment as well, for everyone that does get a ticket, I'll give you a copy of my latest book, which is the HMO handbook, which has just been published. And I'll also give you a copy of my mindset book, which I published 10 years ago, which is a best-selling book on limiting beliefs. And on top of that, we'll give you our HMO deal analyzer spreadsheet as well. So if you tap that link, you'll access the bonuses and you'll be able to secure a date that suits you as well. And I'd love to see you there. I think some people have been onto that. I think some people here have been onto that 2 days. If you have been onto the 2 days, and you think it was valuable, let me know in the chat box as well, because I'm pretty sure a couple of you have spent that 2 days with me, just because I'm recognizing names here as well. And Avaram, thanks for allowing me that 2 sentences, comma. I'm pretty much finished. Full stop.
That's great. Highly recommended if you want to get some of the knowledge and experience of, very successful property investors. I think it's definitely worth it. Now, Steve, before we jump into the agenda, I promise to share some of the new features that we have just released. Not have just some of them just, but some on the last few weeks slash months. So if you're familiar with Landlord, you have three main sections. Invest. This is the place to source properties, to analyze the potential return using our deal analyzer, and to get market insights. Manage. This is the section to manage your existing portfolio. You can manage your documents, tasks that basically attach to the due dates. If you need to renew a gas certificate, or you need to renew your landlord insurance, or secure a new mortgage rate. My Documents, the place to manage documents. As I mentioned, you have mileage tracker. You can track trips, share with your accountant, manage your tenants and tenancies. You can invite them to their own tenants dashboard. You can share the relevant documents with them. You can track your rents. Your tenants can get reminders to pay the rent on time or overdue payment reminder, and they can also report maintenance issues to you if you self-manage your properties. But
Avaram,
yeah,
if you need any help, it looks like you got £20 million worth of rent owing to you, man. If you need help getting that back.
oh my gosh, it's
I know a good solicitor.
need to choose a
Sorry,
different. I need to choose a different demo account, I believe. But yeah,
I'm just
definitely.
kidding, man.
It's a good point. Now you have the accounting section, which you here you can manage your cash flow over time. On the bank transactions feed, you can link bank accounts in a secure way to automate your transactions and generate reports such as P&L report, expenses breakdown report, income breakdown report, and more. And the interactive report, which is a high-level overview of your portfolio. So all of this is available. And also, of course, we have the finance section where you can find mortgage products live. We have a live feed, and it's based on your profile, based on the case. You can see the rates from many lenders, and you can also start a process to get your mortgage illustration online, or you can get terms for bridging finance. Everything in one place. Now, we do have some features on our premium plan, which is very affordable. As Steve mentioned, I think you mentioned it, it's 99 pounds per year, 12 pounds per month. And during this webinar time, we are running a promotion. So click on the link, Sarah, if you can put the link again, or go to your settings page from the right top menu, click settings. Then on the plan details, click upgrade. Then click add coupon and enter the value Steve July and click apply. This is for Steve's webinar today. And you will get the premium plan for the entire year for 49.5 pounds only for the first year. The second year, it will go to 99. So quickly, some of the features, mainly on the invest part. On the deal analyzer, we have this property URL. This is available for premium users only. So let's say that you found the property on Rightmove. Steve, this is also for you. I think it's something new that we just released.
I was just in my head. I was thinking I've not used this, so this is quite interesting to me as well. One thing I noticed is that you keep adding and adding,
Yeah.
which is great.
Always, like we always keep enhancing the platform. So let's say that you are now reviewing this deal. You just need to copy paste this link into the deal analyzer. And soon we are working to release a Chrome extension. So you just need to click on the Chrome extension. It will take you to Landlord. And then Landlord, it will extract the purchase price. I chose, you know what, let me choose BRR because it's also, we'll try to estimate the refurb costs and the GDV for you with AI from this page. Okay. So you can see the data. You can change if you want. For instance, if you think that the GDVs should be higher, um, you can tweak the rental income and you get the full analysis, how much cash investments, if you use bridging, what would be the bridging loan costs, money left in the deal, which is a very important metric, but we will do it together when we analyze deals. And another thing that I want to show is comparables. This toggle also available for premium users, which you can get for 50% off during this webinar time. You can see comparables on the map, or here on this tab, you can see the list of the comparables, and you can go to the Google map to see it on a map. So we have also great features. Perhaps when we have time, I will show in the end for auto signatures, for tenancy agreements, and basically for any other document. But let's focus on the main items in the agenda. So let's start. So the first topic for today is market insights and investment landscape. So I will ask you, Steve, how do you see the market right now? What are the strategies you would use? What is the impact of, like the global economic that we see that is definitely impacting the markets? I'm still not sure about the property market and also the government, the budget, the new reforms, for instance, the renters' right bill reform and all of this stuff. So, like in two sentences, no, I'm joking.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. There's no chance.
I'm
You asked
joking.
me a 10-sentence question. Okay, no.
Okay, take the time.
I'll keep it relatively concise. We're the property market's always fluctuating. It's got its ebbs and flows, and that's where opportunity presents itself. I think we're in an interesting period now where, there's a bit of, as always, there's a bit of a rush to complete on properties when there's stamp duty changes, and so that's sort of slowed down a little bit now. And there's also been not that long ago an increase in stamp duty, and then alongside with that, mortgage rates are better, but they're still not incredible if you compare them to the rates we've had since 2008. So what that means is the the market slowed a bit in the sense of the speed of sale. And so the opportunities then that present what we've always got to do is look at what's happening in the market, what opportunities are presenting themselves. That means if you're going to buy, you're in a very strong position to leverage BMV. So we're finding that we're able to negotiate very good purchases. We've got one that we just found for 220, and this was on the open market. We negotiated down to 165,000, and that's going to be a service accommodation, should make about £2,000 a month profit. So I think we're in a great place to negotiate. I'm noticing a lot of people are going towards mixed use and commercial because the stamp duty is very different. And so if you are put off by the stamp duty increases, you could consider moving or going across to a strategy like commercial. What I would say is if you look economically at what's happening in terms of the housing market and supply and demand, there's a very constricted supply. You know, the government sets the target to build 300,000 homes a year. They've had this target for many years and they haven't hit it for the last 50 years. So we've got much too low of a supply and an incredibly high demand. So we've got just last year, 900,000 people joined the UK. That's net migration figures. That's nearly a million. So our population's increasing, but we don't have enough houses to put people in. So that's only going to drive the value of property ultimately in one direction, coupled with the fact that, well, people, we need more uh, flexible housing solutions. So strategies like HMO at the minute are brilliant. There are currently more people looking for rooms than there are rooms available. So I look at, well, what's happening in the market? You'll notice my sort of brain pattern is, well, what's the opportunities? And key strategies that we're leaning into a lot this year are deal packaging because we can find very juicy deals for investors, HMO and serviced accommodation. We do a little bit of commercial on the side, but not it wouldn't be our primary strategy at the moment. And that's just because that's where we see the largest amount of opportunity right now. Flips are still fine, they're still great. You just need to make sure because of course you can give a generalization for the UK, but some areas are going to be different to others. So you need to check the area you're in. Some areas are going to be moving really fast, property selling fast, and on a flip, the big thing is the exit. Some areas are going to be moving a bit slower. So I would say to people, just check the speed of the market. Obviously, there's only so much I can say in these two sentences, but I can say a lot in 2 days. So if you do want to elaborate on that, then come along to the 2 days. Why two sentences? Anyway, uh, I think you say two sentences because you know that probably means about
Yeah,
10 in my
yeah,
world.
yeah. Yeah, but great. Yeah, I totally agree. I think also if you want to look at the sentiment of landlords, then you should go to this page. Um, Sorry, I don't know if you have this link, but I can share it on the chat. So this is like on our blog, you can find the UK landlord sentiment. So we run a survey among our users, and you can see that landlords are still confident in the UK property market and expect also property prices to be increased. So you can see all the insights in this page, and I think also we have the breakdown of all the questions below. Yeah,
This is new as well, right?
yeah, very new. Like we ran it, I think 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago even. So you can
I feel
see.
like every time I see you, there's so much more going on. Do you
Yeah,
sleep? Do you sleep much or not really?
no, no. So
I didn't think so.
before sleep. No, no, I'm joking. No, we have a team that is working hard. But this is, I think, very interesting to see that. But I think that, like, if you look at the last 5 years, all the time people say that the property market will crash, but like every time, like we saw that because of the reasons that you mentioned, because it's always about, demand. And I think that at some point, this will work for in favor of landlords and for the property market. You can never know what like if crisis can happen, but I think that we definitely see the market is quite stable. We also see now uncertainty. Yes, so I think that because of the government economic changes around the world, um, there are some uncertain like people that will you know wait a bit before they invest or will take a look what's going on. But all in all, I think the sentiment is more positive than negative from what we see in this survey. All right, next item. So here. perhaps, a few tips from you about sourcing properties. Perhaps, perhaps you can choose one strategy I think that can work, and then what's the best ways to find properties for to implement this strategy.
Okay, if I will do the old non-tech if you want, and you could do
Yeah, yeah, of course. Then I
the
will
high
show how you
tech.
can source properties with tech, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we rely heavily on well, I say some of it's tech to be fair, but we rely heavily on networking. So if we're sourcing properties, whether they're for yourself or whether they're to sell, because both have a massive value. A lot of the sourcing, certainly in our deal sourcing business that we do, are for off-market properties, and so we try and connect with, and that's our niche is selling HMO properties. So we try and connect with HMO landlords. Someone else doing deal packaging might have a different niche. I appreciate that. But where do we find landlords, property owners, and so on? Yes, you can go to your property networking events. You're going to bump into people that own property, but a lot of those guys are, like everyone said, I think 70% of them planning to expand their portfolio. So they're not necessarily selling off. So we find other circles seem to be useful for finding properties to either buy or sell. And so that tends to be business networking, sometimes more informal networking, just talking to everyone about what you do. We put flyers up, we send flyers out, we send letters out, we put notices in post offices and all over. That's our non-technology approaches. And then we've got just social media these days. You've got an opportunity at this period in time that I don't think will be there forever, where you can reach a lot of people for free online. Years ago, TV company, well, they still do, but when a TV advert that goes out to so many people was going to cost millions of pounds, and now you can, post on social media, you've got the ability to access people within your audience in different groups and so on. And so you've got a great opportunity. Again, I don't think it will be around forever. I think the era of social media will evolve and change slightly, and it's going to change the way that we do things. And so if you're providing, and if anyone's wanting to get a reach on social media, now if you don't already, then connect with me on social media. But we've managed to build a reach of, I think, across platform, nearly 300,000 people. And we've done that by just sharing information. Years ago, when you went on social media, you'd see your friends and families and what they had for dinner and what they've done with their dog's hair. But nowadays, when you go on social media, you get information and you get relevant information, and the algorithm shows you the things that you're interested in, whether you follow the person or not. And so, if you're putting out valuable information and content, then it will show it to other people. Now, if you're doing property-based content, you're going to attract people that have property interests. So you may or may not be, that's for everyone, and you may or may not be interested in doing that, but it's incredibly effective. We built multiple property businesses off the back of our social media, lettings business, sourcing business, finance brokerage. All of that's been done through the use of leveraging social media as well. Sorry, I know that one was crossing into the technology space. I also know you're going to delve into the on the market. Am I right? And I might be making this up. I'm sorry if I am. Do you have a tool for finding off market or for finding, is it repossession, something like that?
Yes, yes, yes. So if we look at technology in terms of sourcing, so if you use landlord, and especially on the premium plan, we have the sourcing alerts. Let me see. One second. This is the promotion of the webinar. One second. Yeah. So,
A good looking guy, that guy.
me?
On the
Okay,
one on the left, yeah, the one on.
for sure. Yeah, yeah, you're all right. Let me see. Okay, so on the invest part of the platform, you have the sourcing tab. So we do have the on-market properties. And here you will find properties from estate agents all around the UK uploading properties to the system on a daily basis. You can also filter by when it was added to landlord. So let's just see how many today. So today we got 7,000 new properties to the system. Then you can also filter by price decrease. So if you want just properties that the price was decreased in the last 7 days. You can also filter by address or by city and radius. Yeah, I think it took like some kind of an address here. Yeah, so you can find property. No, you can actually put a specific address and then search from this address, like just select the radius. And This is basically the on-market listings. On each listing, you will find the photos, some information about the property. You can explore the area with our postcode insights, which is unlimited for premium users. I'll do it right now. You can see it on a map, and you can see the initial analysis if you are going to use it as a buy to let, flip, or BRR. The auctions tab, this is the place to find properties that are now in auctions, in upcoming auctions. And you can see the auction date as well. And in our premium plan, you can also click on place bid, and it will take you to the auction website, and you can get more information. Property list. So here, by the way, Steve, you can find, for instance, if I want, you can search, but if I want back on market, okay? So I want properties that are back on market in this address and this radius, for instance. So it will now search just for this category, and we have the repossessed properties, which is the same, which just the category is repossessed properties. And here, basically, what we provide is the link to the place this property is being listed. Um, let's give it 2 more seconds.
Probably
Yeah,
pulling a lot of information there, isn't it? Because it's quite a broad search.
perhaps, yeah, perhaps I should decrease it, but as always in demos, things stop working. So in the meantime, you also can use the sourcing alerts. Sourcing alerts so you can get notified on landlord. You can add the properties to your watch list. So if I like this property, I can click on this icon, and I can find this now on my watch list. Then on the sourcing alerts, if you tick this box, you will get a notification to your email, to your mobile, in the notification area here as well. When a property on your watch list, the price was decreased for this property, so you will get an alert. And you can also define search criteria. So again, here you need to put an address, radius from this address, price range. You can select the property types you are interested in, click save, and then every time the platform will get a new property matches your criteria, you will get a notification. All of these features are available on the premium plan. So go to your settings page, click on upgrade, and you have the coupon code for 50% during this webinar time. Enter the value Steve July, click apply, and you get the premium plan for the entire year for £49.5 only. So this is for this just for this webinar time. So hurry up and upgrade. So this was basically sourcing. You know what, Steve, one more thing. I know that I also don't do only two sentences.
No,
So
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. You go for it.
all right, all right. And then on each listing, we've added this icon, summarize with AI. So, and you can also see the landlord AI icon here. It's like ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity. You can ask any question, but it can also be specific for a specific deal. And then you can do follow-up question. You can click on add web data and ask questions that perhaps we don't have the information in this specific listing, but if you want to ask about other prices in this area, you can ask. And in general, LendlordAI is available to estimate GDV, rental income. You can summarize other deals. You can phrase emails. You can compare to prospect properties and more. And more, we will integrate it into the platform. So it's available on the deal analyzer, on the cash flow page if you want insights on your cash flow. And soon it will be also linked to your my documents to summarize documents. And something that we are working on is works plan generator with AI that hopefully will be available in the next few weeks. All right, so this is how to source properties with technology. And now let's speak about deal analysis. Um, so I let you speak now, Steve, a bit about analyzing the numbers, how you, what you are like, what key metrics you are looking for in order to, decide if this deal can work for you or not.
Yeah, 100%. So what we look at when we're doing the numbers is we start with the end and we work our way backwards. So for us, when we're calculating numbers, we will look at what's the final value of the property. And in order to do that, you need to look at what are the comparable properties in the area to what you're going to be doing. So whether you're doing a flip or whether you're doing a BRR, if you're planning to add value, we need to know what's the final value. And then we work everything backwards. That's going to tell us what the most we can offer on the property is. So when I say work everything backwards, if the final value for a property is going to be 300,000 based on those comparables that we need to check, then let's say the next most important metric is going to be our refurb. How much refurb needs to be carried out? Maybe it's going to be £30,000. And then so we need to take that away. So now that these are 270, then we need to take away our stamp duty and our legals, and that might take some more off, and that might be another 10 grand. And then we need to take away our profit because we're not doing this for charity. So if you're flipping a property, maybe you want to make at least 40k profit, so you need to take that away as well, and that might bring you down to, let's say, 220. At that point, once you've accounted for your refurb, your fees, your profit, that brings you to the maximum that you can offer on a property. So working out your numbers tells you, A, is the deal going to stack up, but B, how much can I go to? So whether it's an auction property or whether you're just negotiating. And just one point I'll make on that as well. Everyone gets fixated on the price that they see online. That's not always going to, in fact, it often not going to be the price that you're buying for. So like I said, we just secured one that was on for 220 and we got it for 165. And so it just shows, and they're not all going to negotiate down that far. I've got one at the minute that I've negotiated from 200 down to 180. I'm still trying to chip another 5 grand off of it. But if I know what my top end is, and so I know that that deal might not stack if it was more than 185, but I'm not going to dismiss it because it's on for 200. So just want to point out what we're trying to calculate is what's the most I can go up to. Once you know that, you can start negotiation and start it below what you want to finish at. That's the way that negotiations go. They're often not quick as well. It can take weeks to get there. But like I said earlier, if the market is slower in an area, especially if people don't want to take an older property or a property that needs work or love, they want it finished, then you've got a lot more negotiating leverage as well. So that's crudely speaking how we work on the numbers. Usually on the 2 days, we spend a whole hour, breaking down, doing analysis. What are the numbers, and also what are we going to do with the property at the end of it? If you are going to keep it, would it stack as an HMO? How do you assess the area? So, but in terms of the analysis for a flip or a BRR, start with the end, take away. And if it's a BRR, same as a flip, but we need to take away the deposit. So how much deposit do you need to leave in it to get your mortgage? And that will all bring you down to the top amount that you can pay.
Yeah, good. So perhaps we can let's do live example and then you can actually show the numbers and what you. So on Landlord, if you want to start analyzing deals, go to the invest part, click on deal analyzer, and there you can either use the property URL. I'm on the non-premium
You need
account.
to upgrade. I tell you what, Avram, if you use my code Steve July, you can get yourself an upgrade, and you're welcome.
I will just click add coupon. I will put my credit cards.
Just so everyone knows, in case anyone's wondering, I don't get paid for Steve July, but it's just a privilege that I get my name into
Oh yeah, I
the.
wanted like to highlight your name. It's yeah.
Yeah,
I can tell that no, Steve doesn't like no. We don't pay you, Steve. What we can do?
Avram sent me an email, said, "Do you want to jump on the webinar?" I said, "Absolutely." Ever since we first connected, I think it was maybe a year ago now. I lose track of time, to be honest. But when the guys at Lendlord, it was originally it wasn't Avram, was it? Who reached out? It was originally Kay who reached out,
Yeah, our partner manager.
and Kay reached out, and I was like, "Well, that's cool because I use Lendlord, so I'm more than happy. Quite cool. So this is great to be a part of, really."
And we like it's great to have you here. Like every time that we host you, we get such a great feedback from our users. So I also encourage everyone to get more from your event. Like just register. We will put the link again now in the end. So now I'm in the right account. So either you can use, no, I'm not, 1 second. So either you can use the property URL feature if you're already on Rightmove, and soon you will be able to use the Chrome extension. But you can start from scratch. So let's say I want to put an address. Then let's pick BRR deal. So in BRR, you start with the purchase price. By the way, we changed the get estimation. So it's also interesting, Steve. So now you can actually run, this is using the API of property data. So you can estimate what would be the cost before and after, because in BRR, you perform some refurbishment to the property, also in Flip. So let's say that you don't change anything, but you can also say like if you are expanding the area or adding bedrooms and things like that. But even if you just keep the same, and then instead of below average, you just modernize the property to very high, then you click estimate. So now we basically put all the values side by side. So you see what would be the value before and what would be the value after, and what would be the rental income before, the rental income after. And this is based on the many data points of based on the API property data. We also have some of aggregated data that we use. So you can see just if you modernize this property, this is what this the indication. Yeah, it's indication. It will not replace a surveyor that inspect the property. But this is the way now we change this. So you don't need before you needed to estimate it once and then click again, and so you have all the numbers in one place.
Nice.
Um, so just for the example, before I put the values, like what would be for 100K property, the refurb cost in order to get to something. So I will show the slide. You know what? Perhaps we can do the slider. So I will just put the values and then we'll go to the results. Let's put 500 and yeah, click proceed. All right, you will get some information about the property and about the postcode, average yield, 5-year growth. You can also use the comparables toggle. This is part of our premium plan. And okay, so now, Steve, we have the purchase price, refurb cost, GGV, after refurb property value, and the after refurb expected rent. So perhaps one sentence or two sentences about BRR. So you purchase the property, refurb it, and then refinance at a higher value.
Mhm.
So we have the refurb project metrics. Here you can see the initial cash investments, which will be if you use bridging, it's bridging deposit, stamp duty, closing costs, refurb costs, and bridging fees. On the summary page, you can change the numbers that the platform assumes. Um, okay, so if you want to add more fees and things like that, if you want to be more conservative, which is always good, you can change here and see how it impacts the results. Um, Then we have the short-term metrics. So money left in the deal. This is when you refinance at a higher level. So let's say that you increase the property value to 150 and you get 75%, let me see in the summary. Yeah, refinancing. So here we assume 75% at the 4.63. So basically you can change it or you can explore the mortgage options that you have right now on the market. And based on that, tweak the deals, capital analysis, and this will change the metrics now. So Steve, when you look at this metric, money left in the deal, how important it is, and also how would you look at the ratios between purchase price, refurb cost, GDV, and we will touch the long-term value after that. I think this is
Yeah, sure. Well, money left in the deal is critical for anyone who's got a limited amount of resources. So if you've got, in this case, you might have a pot of 45 grand, that might be your cash, right? And so if you get 17 or you get 26 back out and you leave 17 in, you got to ask yourself the question, can I make this deal work? Is this going to allow me to do my next investment if you're trying to rinse and repeat? So how much money you leave in the deal. That said, if you've got capital, a lot of people are happy to leave cash in a deal. You know, I leave cash in quite a few deals. It means it opens up a lot more deals to me in BRR. I don't have to worry about getting every penny out. But I appreciate for some people, if you've got a pot of cash and you wanted to maximize it, then you've got to keep an eye on how much is actually left in. I always think as well, what I like on here is you've got the sliders, so you can kind of go best case, worst case. You can say, well, what if my refurb goes over by a couple thousand? What if we manage to save a couple thousand? And that's going to start playing with the numbers on the deal as well. What if I can negotiate the purchase price down by £5,000? What does that do to the cash that I leave in? So this is a really good visual for anyone who's visual like me. Is a good way to start playing around and seeing. And you might want to say, well, what if the surveyor undervalues? What if? And the good thing is this gives you an indication. And like Avaram said, it's not going to replace an actual surveyor, but it will give you a good indication of where we would expect to be and also what you're gonna make. And I believe you can play around with the finance as well. Is that right? You can say, well, I want to bridge less of it, or I want to bridge more of it.
Ah, yeah,
What
yeah, of course.
if someone's got more capital they can put down? Maybe they only need a small bridge.
Definitely. So it's not like we removed it from the sliders, but you can go to the summary
Mhm.
here on the purchase financing basically would be usually will be bridging finance because you need to perform refurbishments. It's harder to get a mortgage for this type of a purchase. So here you can say, okay, actually, I just want 50% LTV because I want to inject more cash in the beginning. Don't forget, in BRR, in the end, like when you refinance, you can get your some cash back. So if you have cash available and you want to focus on one project, perhaps it's better to purchase the property in cash or reduce the LTV to get perhaps better rates or to lower the risk. Okay, then I can also add the arrangement fee to the loan. If usually when the LTV is lower than 75%, I can add the arrangement fee to the loan. And then I can see, okay, now I click save and I go back to the results page. And here I can see that the cash investment went up because the deposit is now higher. But I think the money left in the deal went, I'm not sure if it's also went up, but but you can test and see, like you can play with the numbers. And also, Steve, we have the long-term metrics, which I think very important. In BRR, the numbers are even higher because we calculate it on money left in the deal because eventually this was your investment. So when we calculate return on capital deployed, we want to for the long like for the let period, okay, for when you have tenants and cash flow from this property, you want to look at the money left in the deal, the actual cash investment. Also for the future scenarios, so you have the default scenario, the best case scenario, the worst case scenario, which you can change the assumptions. So we use our own assumption of occupancy rate, property appreciation, rent appreciation, inflation. You can change it and see how it impact your numbers. But it's very important to look for the long term. And you can look on the, yeah, here it's insane number. Perhaps the numbers, I was very optimistic here. But in general, IRR means that like takes into account the property appreciation plus the cash flow. Okay, so in property in buy to let, you don't have just the annual cash flow. If you look historically on house prices, you should have property appreciation over the years, which also build your equity, build your ability to refinance at some points when the value goes up. Perhaps you can raise more capital. Um, so we take it into account as well in the future scenarios.
You
Uh,
can change the future scenario, right?
yeah, yeah, of
Yeah,
course. Yeah,
sorry, yeah.
I can change the occupancy rate. I can assume only 3% property appreciation, and I can see, okay, how it impact my deals. Um, yeah. Another thing that we have is the postcode insights. So here you can get insights about any postcode, some facts about this area, how many properties for sale, average sales per month, and more. You can see rental stats, the capital growth in the last 7 years, comparables, property asking prices, and some statistics about crime, school, age distribution, and more. Steve, what is like when you let's speak a bit about the area, how important
Yes.
it is. Do you need to live around like you actually need to know this area, or it's like enough to do this online?
Um, I think it's also, I say this knowing that the last property I bought I didn't view, but I think generally speaking, it's always important to go to the property to get a sense. However, if you go to an area on a nice day, you might miss some bits. So it's interesting because when you said that it's got the crime statistics, I think that's sort of thing people often don't necessarily look at. But actually, it's really important. And so depending on what strategy you're doing, looking at the area, I mean, it's one of the really important. But for us, we do HMO, and I know that I've got a coaching client and I won't name her, but she was looking at a couple of HMOs in two very different areas, but they were both around the same price point. Both around the same price point, both would have generated the same cash. And then I asked her the question, well, what are the areas like? I said, let's look at the postcode and let's look at the crime rates. And one of the areas, we compared them to the national average. One of the areas was about 10 times the national average. So that's possibly not the place that you're going to want to have your property. And one of them was about a quarter of. It was much, much lower. So that in and of itself was the deciding factor for her because it's going to dictate the tenants that you get to your property. It's going to dictate, a lot of your dealings with that property and the demographic that you're going to deal with and potential issues that you might run into. So this sort of data is super important, as is going to an area because that I'd say as well, you can go into one area especially in and around cities. You know, you go one road and it's super affluent. You go one road along and it's not. You know, it's a more challenged area, and that's quite common. You know, I live in London. That's quite common in and around London. You have to go there. You have to get a sense for it. But you can obviously do a lot of due diligence. What I think with a lot of this is it's taking out the time and filtering out the properties that it's not even worth going to see. You know, like if the crime's so high, or you can see on Street View that the setting's not right, and you know what's the proximity of the neighbours, what type of buildings are on the road. This stuff you can see straight away on the Street View, which is a good
I like
feature.
I like this tip because basically you say, okay, it's a great way to eliminate properties, but
Well, it saves time. It goes back to what you said. Time is everything. You know, that's why we're doing this. We're not trying to, you don't come out of the womb wanting to be rich. People just want their time back. And so investing in property, the purpose is so that you don't have to spend every hour working, you know. So the more time saving we can do, the more we can get efficient at analyzing deals and going, no, 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 we're saving time. You know, so it means that we have to go and look at less to get to the right deals, you know. So the more we can eliminate, yeah, as you say, the more we can eliminate, the better.
absolutely. Okay. And another thing I wanted to show you is the summarize with AI. So on any deal now on Landlord, you can use this button and get a summary of this deal. And then you can ask also follow-up questions and also use the web data to get more information about prices. You can compare these prospect deals to others and more. I'm shortening this because I don't know if we have a few more minutes from you, Steve. We can talk.
However, it's well known in the property industry that I do nothing but stay on the webinar until the bitter end. So
Right,
I'm not in a
okay.
rush to get anywhere. I'm going to be missing you as soon as we're gone. So you take your time,
Okay.
my friend.
All right. So no, I'm just saying that perhaps we can now take some questions.
Absolutely. I think you've got a few that came in as well, some around the platform while you were going through.
Okay. So let's, sorry, perhaps you can read
Yeah, I got you. And Angela asked how much to upgrade and also when does it expire, I think.
yes, so the upgrade is for this, like usually it's 99 pounds per year. For this webinar time is 49.5. So I'll put the link if you can put it again. Go to the settings page, top right menu, settings, plan details, click upgrade, then click add coupon and enter the value Steve July and click apply. And then just you need to put your credit card details and secure 1 year for of the premium plan for 49.5 pounds only. Yeah, very affordable and so many features there for premium users. And also you can get demos, one-on-one demos on our premium plan. You can also get some exclusive content that we share with our premium users. So it's very valuable. Um, Perhaps you can also take questions. If you want to ask questions, just raise your hand and then we let you speak.
Nice.
But if we have other questions on the chat, let's answer.
Yeah, there's loads here.
Okay, so take it, Steve. Yeah.
One's asking, does Landlord work? That's Rajesh asking, does it work for attracting motivated landlords? Probably not landlords. I'm guessing maybe for sellers, perhaps. I think we might mean here, and property investors. So, I think in terms of if you recall, when we're looking at property, when we're sourcing on the platform, I noticed you can see the reductions in price, things like that, and you said like when things have come back on the market. So arguably someone who's had to come back on the market might be more motivated. Someone who's reducing the price, like this one, if it's been, can you see when they came on? I mean, when they've originally listed, or
Um,
not to put you on the spot.
I
I'm
can
just curious.
see, no. I can no. You can see when it was added to landlord, and
Nice.
most likely it is like aligned with the time that they are on the market.
It's actually gone
We
up. Yeah,
get,
of course.
yeah, we get a live feed from agents. So
Yeah.
when today we received 7,000 properties,
Hmm.
it usually means that they were listed today.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, you can see also from the like if I want to see, I think perhaps she did like properties that are like long time on market.
Hmm.
Perhaps I can sort by that. Yeah. Okay, interesting. So here you can see 28 days. I think that if I will add, if I will, yeah, seven. Okay.
Okay, and you got price decrease at the top there as well. So can we filter for things that have dropped?
So I think that it
The
looks like
very top, there
rubbish
was a
properties, but this is, yeah. Um, yeah, usually like we clean the database. So I think that basically like apps, those are like things that just,
sorry, on the top, top along along where you had added to landlord, on the right of that there's price decrease. Would that show us if the prices? Okay, so these are things that have dropped in the last 7 days. Yeah,
yeah.
nice. Okay, so I'm with you. Yeah, nice. Yeah, nice. Yeah, so that I mean things like this are good for finding motivated sellers, right? Somebody's on the market, they're dropping the price. That's somebody whose expectations are aligning and is accepting that they're going to have to take something less. And so that's often an opportunity to come in. Harry was asking about the long-term metrics. I think when you're doing the long-term return, the default setting in there is that what's that based on? I think is what Harry was asking. Is that based on historical data, or is that just I know you can change it as you wish because it's going to probably vary from area to area. You got a best case and a worst case as well.
Yeah, so the default scenario, we take it from the postcode. So I change it, but basically it will take a look on the 5-year growth of the postcode, and then it will take it as the future growth. So the
Good.
property appreciation should be 5% in this specific area. I change it manually to 3%, and I change this to 95.
If
But
if
basically,
I found a deal, let's say I found this deal, can I save it somewhere in the platform and come back to it?
of course, you can just click on save.
And if I did generate a report, and I'm just thinking this from a sourcing perspective, let's say I found a deal, wanted to present it to an investor,
Yeah.
can I generate a report then that I can actually show to somebody with the returns as well?
Definitely. Yeah. You can show him yeah, you can generate the PDF.
All right, Avaram, you
With
might
the
have just put one of my VAs out of a job.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
They also have now white labeling. So if you like on a premium plan, if you go
Wow,
to the settings page, you can upload your brand logo.
nice.
And then when you on the deal analyzer generate the report, you can select this, use my brand logo. Okay.
Nice.
You can also include the postcode insights into the report. You can include the future scenarios in the report. And another thing you can do is use the share button. So share, it will be shared on Landlord. Okay, so you have a Landlord account, Steve. I have a Landlord account. I just analyzed this deal. I will put your email address here and I will click share this deal. And then you will receive an email. You will log into your Landlord account and you will see the same deal that I just analyzed. And you can also save it to your account. And all the saved deals are here. You can see all the deals the saved prospects. So you can see, I analyze many deals. As you can see, the buy to let that you analyze, the flip, and the BRR deals. So, and then you can just, if you want to see it again, you just click on it and you can see all the results. And you can play again with the metrics. You can use the LendlordAI to get a summary and more. So, yeah.
Brilliant. All right, there's a ton of questions here. I'm going to fire through some of them. Sarah's, by the way, Sarah, I hope your arm is feeling better or getting better. How accurate is the refurb cost on the analyzer? So that's the question about the sort of refurb predictions.
Okay. So, it's based on AI that reads the, so if you use property URL, let me see if this is the right account. Okay. Um, right now, we just base the assumption on the what we see. I think it's mainly the text that you will see on the Rightmove listings. Soon, we will also include pictures, which will make it much more accurate. So if I choose BR now, it will estimate it based on ranges. So cannot be fully accurate. So it will, so here it estimated 27.5K, which is usually will be some kind of a percentage. It perhaps is 5% of the property purchase price. Um, it's interesting to select a property that is not non like that needs renovation and see how it will analyze it. Having said that, we are working on a works plan generator with AI. So we'll be able to upload a floor plan and pictures and also tick some checkboxes, and it will create a refurb plan, full refurb plan for you with items and costs for per each item. And this will be also part of the Landlord AI suite, which is available on our premium plan. We are working on it. We have a beta that works pretty well, and I think it will take a few weeks until we launch it, but it should be an exciting feature, which can
Brilliant.
also save lots of time. Yeah.
Quite worried. There's another Steve D in here that asked a question. I don't know how many Steve Ds we can have in the webinar, but
Oh,
we are where we are. Excellent. So let's see. I like this question, and I think this is the next question. It says, if I had 150K to invest, by the way, a lot of people ask this question, they've got 150K to invest in a property acronym for the first time. I love that. Which would you recommend, and how would Landlord help me to succeed? Bear in mind, I'm new to this, so I'll also need to look up the acronym first. So I guess this is it's kind of to both of us. So I can help with the acronym, and Aviram can help with the
but look,
technology.
before the technology, Steve, what would you like? 150K, it's a lot of money. I think basically it really depends on where you invest and what strategy you choose. But what would you recommend? You know what? I will break it down to two options. If you were to invest in one property, the entire 150K, or you would split your focus into three projects in parallel for 50, 50, 50. What would you choose?
Very good question. I love this question. It's a very good question. I think I'm going to go higher level, but I'm going to go higher level after this. To answer your question, would I buy one property with 150K or would I buy three properties with 50K in each? Personally, on the assumption that they're all generating the same return, of course, that's assumed here,
Yep.
then I would go for one property for 150K every day of the week because I would rather have one roof, one boiler, one set of management, one set of paperwork. So for me, it's better. And a lot of the average property in my portfolio is reasonable value. The average in my portfolio is around 550,000. If you averaged out the value across all of them, these are things I do in my spare time. So I tend to reach into those brackets. But that said, obviously it depends on how much you've got. And the bit that I would say, and this might help to answer the question, is I would always start with the end in mind. So the real question is, what do you want to achieve? Because for Avaram might say, Steve, I don't need any cash. I just want to build a legacy for my family and leave some wealth behind and give them some assets. And somebody else might say, I want to get out of my job. And so I need to get monthly cash flow. I don't even care about the the wealth yet. Or someone else might say, I need a bit of both. I want to build assets, I want cash flow. All of those are slightly different roads that you can go down. In terms of the acronyms, I gravitate towards SA or HMO, so service accommodation or shared houses. Personally, for me, those perform so much better than buy to let in this market, and that's where we put all of our focus at the moment in strategy wise. If you haven't already, do come along to the 2 days because we break down each of those strategies. We talk about how you find, fund, and fill HMO properties, how you check the demand, do the due diligence, how you set up a service accommodation, the different tax reliefs that you need to be aware of, and to help you choose your strategy and to walk away with a plan so you know what you're going to do for the next 12 months. So I'll pop that link in.
I just
Uh,
put it. I just
ah, you're
yeah.
2 steps ahead of me, Avaram. Yeah, so there's the link for the 2 days. So on that 2 days, again, I run it twice a month. It's for 2 days. It's a weekday. It's on weekends. Once you've got the ticket, after that, you can select a date, or you can just say, I'm going to select a date later on, and it's valid for 12 months. So that's 24 different events that you can choose from. I'll also give you a copy of my ebooks. I'll also give you copy of our deal analyzer. So that will be a good place to start for 99 quid. You can't really go wrong. And if you come along to the first day and it's not for you or you don't like it, then we'll give you 100% refund, no questions asked, because we want to make sure that you find it valuable and that it's worthwhile to you as well. So if you're curious, feel free to jump onto Trustpilot, have a look at the reviews that we get for what we do. Type in Steve Doran Property Training. You can find we've got all 5-star reviews for all of the training that we deliver. And I'm very proud of that. But we base ourselves on just giving as much as we possibly can. So for yourself, I would definitely come along. There's only so much we can say in a brief Q&A, but it's well worth getting the training, the guidance, deciding. The first part of the journey is deciding on the strategy. And after that, another top tip, it's going back to eliminating. Is eliminating all the other strategies. If you decide I'm going to do service accommodation, then you need to stop the noise from all the other, because the property space has got so many great things, and they are all great things, but we can only focus on one at a time. That would be my advice. In terms of how Landlord can help, I think that was another part of the question where you've seen it here, can help to manage the property once you've got it, to find the property when you're looking for it, and to fund the property as well. I think they're the three key pillars of Landlord in the technology there.
Yeah, I think like I will take one thing about what you said about focus, and it's so important, not just in property, like in life, I think, like to be like if you do something, do it well. And I highly recommend the event. I think that there are many mentors there out there, many good ones as well. We work with several as well, but I think that the good thing with you, Steve, is like actually it's based on experience, and because of that, I think it's
You
such.
can say it, Avaram. I'm your favorite. I don't think any. I won't tell any of the others that you've said it.
You know why? You
No.
know why? You are my favorite because you know how to make a point in 2 sentences.
Touche. Okay. Okay.
But, um, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Like
I'll
he,
get back to the questions.
but, no, but I actually you are definitely my favorite. I think that, and I highly recommend consuming content from you, from your social media, and of course from the events. And I think people needs to get educated and needs also digital tools. So definitely go for it. And you mentioned also things that you can do with landlords. So, Sarel, if you are still here, I don't know, Sarel from our team should be here or not.
Yeah, I'm here.
Perfect. Okay. So if you can share the link tree as well, if you want, we have the digital finance tools, but you can also get a call with our team. Also, if you are upgrading to premium, you can get demos, a one-on-one demos with our team as well. Do we have any more questions? Let me see. Steve, I think that the last question is for you. Do you
Let's
go
have a look. Let's see
to
if I can do it
and
in. I'll see if I can get it done in 2 sentences, Avaram.
yeah, yeah, let's try.
Tracy, Tompkins already signed up, ready for our next one. So, already, yeah, that's the one that I was going to say. Tracy's a one-to-one. Okay, cool. That's Rajesh, right? So, Steve, do you go through rent to rent on your 2 day online course? Yes, absolutely. Do you go through on how to secure below market deals and match them to investors? Yes. So just to break down a little bit of the rundown, we talk about rent to rent. We show you our rent to rent properties, how we make them successful, how we negotiate with landlords, how we run the numbers on them, how we set them up if you don't have much capital to get going. So my partner who runs the event with me, her first strategy when she started out was rent to rent. She was a teacher. She was earning £1,200 a month, so she didn't have a load of cash. She had a newborn child, and she wanted to do a strategy that she could do around her job because she was working very hard as a teacher that would get her out of her job and it didn't need much cash. So she went down the route of rent to rent and she leased the furniture. She negotiated rent-free periods with the landlords, and now she's got an extensive rent-to-rent portfolio, which allowed her to leave her job and to live an entirely different life. So rent-to-rent is a great strategy. We cover it in depth on the 2 days. We also cover deal packaging in depth on the 2 days, which even if you're not going to sell deals is super important because you need to know how to find them. How to analyze them, how to calculate the ROI, how to present them, how to make sure that they make sense. But that again, these are strategies that we're actively doing that we're finding massive success in. So we just share with you exactly what we do, the systems that we use, the processes, how we negotiate, where we find our investors, and just open it up and share with you. So yes, to answer your question in just 2 sentences, we do cover both of those things. I could have just said yes, I
Yeah.
guess,
No,
but nobody came here to just hear me say yes.
I have another good question. What will be your advice, interest only or repayment?
Nice.
You know what, before you answer, Steve, I want to show that on the deal analyzer, you can see exactly the differences. And it's interesting in the UK, I think vast majority of the landlords, and I think the products, I think 90% will go with on buy to let, will go on for interest only. Um, and the way to see it is here. So the default when you analyze deals on landlord will be interest only products. And then if you go to the summary page, I just want to see to show the long-term value. So in the long-term future prediction, you can see that the mortgage balance remains the same, 75K in this example, because you just pay the interest, you don't pay any capital, no capital repayment. So the equity goes up because of the property appreciation. Now, if I go to the summary page and I change in the loan details, I click on the edit icon and I change for capital and interest, okay? Method of repayment. Instead of interest only, I change capital and interest, okay? You can see that the monthly payment will go up, okay? So your cash flow will squeeze because you need now to pay also capital repayments. I click save. My cash flow now, my net cash flow will be much lower right now, but you can see now this chart. So you can see the mortgage balance is also going down and the equity is going up even further. I can also choose 25 years here to see the break point. I think at some point the mortgage balance should be zero. Depends on the period. Yeah, in the end of that. Yeah. So we can select a 25-year mortgage. So over 25 years, I will pay all the capital, all the principal. So by the end of the period of 25 years, the equity will be the property value. So I'm not aware of many landlords that use this repayment method. I think the vast majority use interest only to retain the cash flow. But it's interesting if you want to get more equity by the end of the term. What do you think, Steve?
Uh, For me, it's interest only all the way with investment property. You know, your personal home often is going to be on repayment, fine. But yeah, I agree. There's a reason most landlords are doing interest only. It just makes the most logical sense. We're not trying to repay the mortgage and save 5%. We're trying to reinvest the cash and make another 20% or however much we're going to make from reinvesting the cash somewhere else. So a lot of people say, well, what happens to the mortgage over time? If you got it in 30 years' time, if you had a 100 grand mortgage in 30 years' time, the real value of that 100,000's gone down so much in real terms thanks to inflation. And of course, your portfolio has gone so much up in comparison that, let's say you've got 10 properties, you might sell one, clear the balance of the others, or sell a couple to clear the balance if you wanted to be mortgage free later on. But a lot of people fixate on this idea of paying off a mortgage, but the idea as an investor is to use leverage and to redeploy as much cash as you can. And then later on, you might want to drop down your borrowing level, or as you grow, you might want to, and that's fine as well. But it would naturally reduce as your portfolio value increases over time as well. So for me, the short answer is generally interest only. I'm just going to grab the question from Sarah as well. I said, after the £99 course, will there be another course which will be more? So just to be transparent, what we are is a training organization. So we provide education more specifically and support. So if somebody wants mentoring, we do that. That's obviously not £99. What we do on the 2-day event is we deliver pure training. I find personally is very irritating when I go to, and I'm a lifelong student, I go to a lot of training, I attend a lot of, I invest in my education heavily. I don't want to go to a training where somebody's just telling me I need another training. And so what we do on our events is we take 1 hour separate to the event for anyone who's interested in doing other training or other work with us. They can come to that 1 hour, and anyone who just wants to come to the 2 days, they just come to the 2 days and we just train them. We give them all the information. We don't hold back. We don't say, oh, if you want to know that, you're going to have to come here. We just tell you everything that you need to know. And 90% of people say, thank you very much. And that's enough information. And they carry on. They jump in our Facebook group. They keep in touch. They let us know how they're getting on. And then maybe 10% of people want a bit more or need a bit more support. And so they'll come to us for things like mentoring. But we're very clear on separating those two things out. So that if you just want the 2-day training, that's what you get. Hopefully that answers the question. I understand the question that you're asking, so I just wanted to clear that up for you as well.
You have another question. How can I let us today? It's Peter on the panel, host and panelist. That it's a real eye opener. I think this is the thing with events. I think in general, and if you can do 2 days, you cannot learn everything in, short time, but you can get ideas into your mind. You can get things that will open your eyes. So I agree with Peter. And then you can go and search and find more information. And yeah, it's also a process. It's like you cannot learn everything in one webinar or in one event. I believe in something that is going on over time. So yeah. But it's a great value, I think, that to get in one webinar and also for sure in 2 days.
100%. So Darren's just asked, how do you access the property sourcing? If you want to speak to us about property sourcing, that's a separate conversation. I just had to dig out a link. You can book a call on, be with myself or with my partner who runs that business, and we can discuss that separately. But yeah, look, 2 days of training, and like Abraham says, I think if you're going to, somebody mentioned about mentorship. If you're going to consider working with a mentor, I recommend, there's so many good people out there, and they are good. Find the one that clicks for you, the one that feels right for you. Go to different people's training, get to experience, and also, you might find you get enough. The big thing is, I'm 100% with Avaram. Get as much education as you can. The big thing is do something with it as well. So you could spend hours analyzing deals on Landlord, but you've still got to go and actually view them, offer on them, make it happen. You've got to do the work. That's the bit that I think that is a challenge for some people. They can almost do too much education and then it becomes overwhelming. That's why I say pick your strategies. Once you've got your strategy, you can narrow down and go, okay, well, now I'm just going to follow content on HMOs and I'm just going to go and learn about, and then I'm going to take action on it as well. So that will be my push for everyone here. Just make sure you actually back it up. You do something about it, because the worst thing would be to fast forward 5 years and you haven't taken action. You've been on this webinar, you wanted to be somewhere, you've been on training, you wanted to be somewhere, and you didn't take the steps. And speaking as a person that didn't grow up in a wealthy family, that didn't have like much formal education, I didn't finish college, let alone university. So I'm not a highly educated person. I'm just a hardworking person who was driven to take action to change my circumstances. Speaking as someone who did it I can safely say that, and I've seen many people do it. Anybody here can do it, but you got to just take the action, step out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely. I agree with every word. And Rajesh just said something interesting. Yeah, I agree with that. That every no gets you closer to
100%.
the yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, I love that. And you
Uh,
got, as the book says, go for no. You know, people. We live in a society where, I mean, let's not go too philosophical too late, but we live in a society where so many people are worried about what people think of them when most people don't really care, or getting somebody to say no and how they're going to feel, the fear of rejection. You know, and it's sad because it holds so many people back. You know, across the road, funny, I mentioned this on the webinar earlier this week, but across the road from me is a cemetery. Second time I've mentioned it in a week. Very interesting. But I'm going to mention something different about it. You know, I do sometimes ponder to myself and think there are people in that cemetery that had those same fears and didn't do some of the things that they could have done. So the ideas they had died with them. And I don't want to ever be in a position where the things that I wanted to do die with me. So I want to go out, you know, give it my best shot. And if not, at the very worst case, I'm going to have a great story to tell.
yeah. Okay. I think that we can wrap this up. Let me share this one more time. I want to show you also the chat box. You can use like if you want to ask questions about the platform with like bug reports, feature suggestions, but you can also have this help button. And here you can find articles about how to use the platform. You can also use the tutorials button here to find some videos about how to use the platform. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and find webinars, content that we upload, how-to tutorials, and things like that. You can schedule demos if you're on a premium plan and you have perhaps I always do that. I will keep this session open for I don't know half or 1 more hour if you still want to upgrade. So just click on the link that Sarel put on the chat or go to the settings page, plan details, click upgrade, then click add coupon, enter Steve July, and click apply, and you will get the premium plan for 49.5 pounds for the first year. And don't forget to subscribe to register. Where is it? To Steve's event, 2 days with such a great training, education, and ideas to open your minds. So highly recommended. You have the link, I believe, again on the chat, and if not, we will put it. Yeah, so I really enjoyed this webinar, Steve. It was great as always, but today it was also a bit funny, so it's good always to.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, Avraham. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for having me again. I really appreciate it. It's good to see you. Thanks for indirectly saying that I talk too much. I'm gonna reflect on that
No,
when I
it's
come.
good. It's good when you talk good things, so it's good. No worries about that.
I'm just kidding, but I actually like to listen. It's interesting because a lot of time I'm doing webinars, it's me, you know, and I don't learn when I'm talking. So this is where I love to come on here, listen to you, you know, it gives me an opportunity to hear some of the technology. And so fantastic. I would just say thank you very much, Avaram. Thanks for creating the tools. Thanks for sharing the tools. Thanks for making them very accessible and very affordable. It really is an incredible price point, to be honest, what you've offering this out for. And thanks to everyone for joining us. It's been incredible to see you. And let's make the rest of your life the best of your life.
I like this sentence. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Steve. Have a great evening. Bye bye.
Take care.
See you
Bye
in the
bye.
next webinar.